Hey, good morning, everybody. Look at, hang on. We got to get the applause going. All right. Usually when you do a professional podcast, you got the butt that makes the audience, but there is one. So today, we haven't done a podcast in a while. I'm going to take my gum out, my Nicorette for quit smoking. I'm going to introduce to you a local boxing legend. Not just local, international, world-famous boxing legend. And here we go. And we're going to introduce him right now. Here we are. And introducing to you in this corner, world-famous local legend, Manny.
Fantastic.
There we go. All right.
Michael Buffer of Vancouver.
Holy fuck, that hurt already. We haven't started open. I hate to see this guy with a clench fist. Anyway, Manny Sobral is a local guy. Manny, you're in boxing. How long have you been in boxing?
It seems like all my life. I'm 56 now, so I started when I was 13. So it's got close, close to 40 years. And it all started by accident, just went to the gym to lose some weight because I was getting interested in chicks, and chicks don't like fat guys.
So you had a six-pack?
Well, not back then. I didn't have a six-pack. I had a 2-4-pack.
A 2-4-pack.
So anyway, I went to a gym, didn't think I was going to box. It was down at Main and Hastings. Parents wouldn't let me go down there at nighttime. Knocked on the door because it was still closed at 11 in the morning, and an old man was sweeping the gym. He looks up and nods his head and keeps sweeping. I said, what the... How come you don't open the gym? So I kept banging on the door. He comes over and goes, what do you want, kid? I said, I want to lose some weight. How you going to do that, kid? Well, I'm going to lift weights and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, you're not. You're going to box. And Steve took me under his wing that summer, taught me how to box. And
in one summer?
One summer, taught me how to box. And then my parents wouldn't let me go down there at nighttime, so I had to go to the Hastings Community Center. Didn't like it so much because it wasn't as intense. So I went to the Astoria Boxing Club on East Hastings. And,
so East Van. This is all,
East Van.
For those of you, East Van is kind of known as sort of a rough area.
Somewhat. Went to Templeton High School, and, I meandered my way around and, hung out with some of the tough guys, hung out with some of the not so tough guys, and just made my way around.
What's a tough guy?
Tough guy, well, some guy that doesn't back down, some guy that instigates things. That's sort of a tough guy in my mind.
So kind of, you wouldn't want to, just back in those days it was a little bit different.
It was a lot different. I mean, you didn't hear all these bully things. Back in the 80s, I hardly ever heard the word bully. Now, you look at someone wrong and you're a bully.
Yeah. But, so you came here from Spain when you were 6.
Yeah, I came here from Spain. Didn't know a word of English, so, I had to make do. I got back then it wasn't called bully, but yeah, people, because you're different, they always look at you differently, and then they sort of
make fun of you.
And I mean, I couldn't even ask the teacher how to go to the washroom. I remember sitting there like crossing my legs and trying to go to the can, and I couldn't ask the teacher because I didn't know how to ask to go to the washroom. So what do? You use sign language. So I kept pointing at the teacher. I need to do this. So finally the teacher took me to the washroom.
So then over the years you've had some pro fight. Like what's your fighting background?
Well, my background really is, I started as an amateur. It's kind of like a Muhammad Ali thing. Like Muhammad Ali in 1960 represented the United States at the Olympic Games in Rome, Italy, and I represented Canada at the Seoul Olympics in 1988. And I was a teammate with Lennox Lewis, who of course won the Olympic gold medal at the super heavyweight. I think I got ripped off. It was a 3-2 split decision. 3 judges thought the Finland guy won. 2 judges thought I won. It could have gone either way. I got eliminated from the Olympics. Came back to Canada and decided to pursue an education. I became a high school teacher.
Right.
And in 1991, I got back into boxing because there was a tough man competition in BC called the BC Tough Man Competition.
I remember they're called You Think You're Tough or something.
Yeah, so You Think You're Tough. But this one was a BC-wide one, so they had 8 cities in the province where you qualify, and then the 8 city qualifiers would fight at the finals at the Agrodome in November 1991. And I remember I watched the show, The Tough Man in Vancouver, and I said, well, I know I can beat these guys. So I went to Nanaimo to qualify. So I was the Nanaimo representative back in Vancouver, and I won the Tough Man competition. Back then in 91, it was an $11,000 winner-take-all. Of course, I won. Then I came back to the amateurs to make the 92 Olympic team because that was in Barcelona, Spain, my home country. Right. And I won the nationals, but then they would not allow me to go because their argument was, well, you're a professional now because you made money.
Yeah.
So I turned pro.
So
Had 31 pro fights.
You know what? What's kind of shitty about that in a way, because now you look at all the basketball players, and
tennis
all
players.
Tennis players. Yeah. Back in those days. So anyway, the thing is, and now you work with youth.
Yeah, I'm. My life kind of went in circles because what happened is I had a phys ed Spanish degree, so I taught in Burnaby at Burnaby North and Alpha Secondary back in the 90s. I taught at Burnaby North, I taught at Alpha Secondary, and then in 97, my professional career was going well. I was 18-0 and ranked about 10th in the world, and I had to make a decision because I needed better sparring. So I moved to California, and then I moved to Las Vegas. I was away for 3 years, and while I was away, I did a master's degree in counseling ed through University of Las Vegas, Northern Las Vegas, and I started working with youth like on the Strip that were living near the Strip up by the Stratosphere. They were kind of down and out and everything. And I came back to Vancouver and started working with at-risk youth, kids that were in group homes, foster care, didn't have it like a lot of kids have parents at home.
Right.
So it all changed, and I also started the North Burnaby Boxing Club back in 2004, and then Revs Bowling got sold, so that gym closed down. So now I'm working with kids at downtown East Side, similar to where I started on Main and Hastings. Now I'm at Pender and Hastings at the Diaz Combat Sports, and I'm working with kids there. And
you had 31 pro fights?
31 pro fights,
wow.
180 amateur fights, so I was over 200 combative sports competitions. And
so now, I mean, like, if you look at what's happening out there, and we'll talk about that for 1 second. So you look at boxing. Of course, MMA was really popular.
Yeah, now
right. And I mean, I remember even in high school wrestling. People wrestle, but I didn't pay much bother to it. Of course, now with the MMA, wrestling is the most wonderful. Big. You teach a guy how to box. A wrestler how to box, you got almost a well-rounded MMA fighter,
exactly.
right? Jiu-jitsu, judo. So I mean, but boxing, and the reason why you're here, and it's more important for me because I think that boxing. I mean, if you want to go in the ring and you want to spar, and that's what everybody kind of wants to do, they want to fight and all that shit. But if you don't do that, if you just do the training, and the guy holds the gloves, and you get a really good trainer to work, there's nothing better than training for boxing. I mean. Jiu-jitsu is a great training, but boxing, you're using your fists, you're doing your cardio.
Yeah.
Because people watch these matches, we all sit there and watch this. That's going to be part of what you watch at home. You see a guy fighting, and you don't realize what a 3-minute round is. And that last 10 seconds when you're getting your ass kicked or you're not doing well, that 10 seconds is like 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Am I right?
It goes slowly, very
slowly, just to get that breather, to get your head back together again. Yeah. That's if you're in the ring, but if you're not, that training.
Yeah.
And the thing is today, and this is why I'm a big advocate of trying to, I work with Jason Fenton, who took the Canadian Muay Thai team to Malaysia, and the Canadians did really well. Caesar Narita, he's with Power 3 Academy. He's a well-rounded individual. He's a very disciplined teacher. He's had some amateur fights. He's fought, full MMA. He's a great boxing coach all around, but. What his goal is it's not about teaching kids to go out and beat somebody up. No. It's putting discipline in people's heads. And there's so many people, and I mean, obviously this is a contact sport, but it doesn't matter what sport it is. And nowadays, people sit home, we eat potato chips and McDonald's, and we watch TV. Yeah. Then we get depressed because we're addicted to this TV.
And then you're overeating.
You're overeating, right? Yeah. And then you go to the doctor and you're giving prescription pills for antipsychotic and all this shit. Yeah.
Whereas working out can alleviate all of that because the endorphins that your body produces when you're working out can solve those problems in my mind. And it's nothing better than going, like you said, you're going into a 3-minute...
So anyway, go back.
The boxing, there's nothing like a boxing workout because... You're using your entire body. You're using your legs to move. You're using your upper body to punch. You're using your trunk, your waist, your biggest muscles, your gluteus maximus, and all the intercostal muscles in your body to throw those punches properly. You're basically using all your muscles, all 192 muscles in your body.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like it because... It gives you that exhilaration of actually doing something. You're doing something. You're not just lifting a weight. You're actually moving, and then punches are coming back at you with the pads the pad person's giving, and you're sort of in control of your own sort of destiny because you're moving left, right, you're getting angles, you're slipping punches.
Yeah.
And that
it's funny because I'm 56 and I'm still training. And I find to be one of the hardest exercises right now for me because of your legs are getting weak. You hit, and then you do like a burpee and you get back up, and it looks easy.
Oh,
I tell
simple.
you, it is the fucking hardest thing I go there, working out with Caesar, and he's like, okay, after training and then do 20 of these things, and by 18 I'm fucking dead. It's because my knees are getting weak. But I'm telling you, when you do 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 of these things, it's. But the thing is, why I got into it is I went through a crazy divorce. And
it's a great outlet.
And I didn't give a shit. I just trained and trained and trained. I remember Jason. I'm hanging from a fucking rope, and he said, "Okay, brace yourself." And it would either be an elbow or a right to here, a punch straight to the sternum, and
the solar plexus.
Sorry, yeah. And I mean, you know what? Now that was about 6 or 7 years ago. Now I think I'd probably die. But the thing is,
you throw up. That's for sure.
Yeah, but then you see the youth, right? Yeah. And you see what do we do? What do we push people to do? We push people to to go to school. We obviously we're anti-bullying, but you're going to run into a situation in time where you're going to have to fight for yourself.
But that's the crazy thing about boxing. You never hear of great fighters like Muhammad Ali getting into street fights or Sugar Ray Leonard getting into street fights because they're confident in themselves.
Yeah.
They don't need to show everybody what they can do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the great thing about me too is like I've been in a lot of incidences where it could have happened, but I know how to handle myself, so I know how to keep my distance. I know how to get a little angle, and I know I'm safe, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't have the skills or if you don't have the confidence of doing it, you're more into reacting right away.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to overreact to some situation that's really a nothing situation.
I mean, the best fight is the fight you walk away from.
That's the best fight in the world because then you don't hurt your hands.
You don't hurt your hands or something. You know what? Or
get stabbed or get shot or whatever.
Get stabbed. I'm pulling out of here the other day, and a guy got out of the car, and he's literally coming at me with his fists, and he's ready to go at it. And you know what? I was about to get out of the car, and I'm thinking to myself, buddy, what the fuck's the point, man? Yeah. So you're 3 seconds later, But the thing is, the older you get, when you're young, you're not thinking, you're
more reactive.
You're more reactive, but. My thing is...
But I'm telling you, if you're confident with yourself by doing the pads or hitting the bag or just doing the training, either MMA training or boxing training or some combative training, you're more apt not to get in those situations because you're more relaxed about it. You don't have to worry about it.
It's kind of like that kid in school when you're in high school that walks around. He just airs confidence, and that's really what it is.
Basically,
And I mean, at the end of the day, what I think is important though, and again, it's going back to this mental illness. Mental illness. We it's so easy to give a kid.
It's so misdiagnosed these days.
I totally agree.
I think it's the easiest, quickest way they think to solve something, but in the long run, it does not work.
That's true.
Because those things run out. Yeah. Your natural chemicals in your body, by working out and things, do not run out. They keep coming back and helping you.
So now you're doing an event which we're going to show you, which is coming up. It's called Rumble at the Rock Returns. So I don't know if you can see this, but we'll have a better one online. So basically, Rumble at the Rocks. Yes, it's black and white, but this was an improv thing. He just came in to meet me today. We decided to do this. So basically, Rumble at the Rocks is going to be at the River Rock Theater, River Rock.
Show theater.
Show theater. Tickets are $50. It's amateur. You're bringing back amateur fighting into. And the thing is about boxing. I mean, we all watched the Tyson fight,
right?
And
it was terrible.
Terrible. What they should have done is they should have choreographed their fights
a little better. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, at 56 years old, you've been your whole life. Could you fight a 27-year-old?
Well, you could, but the thing is, you're at such a disadvantage because it's a different level.
But could you? If you were in tip shape now at 56?
No.
No. But could you? Do you think you could last a round or two?
I could.
You could?
Depends who the person is. Right?
Okay. Well, we look at Jake Paul. But the thing is, Jake Paul is... He's not a YouTuber. He's a professional boxer. When you're
he's been in boxing about 5 years. So
but he's had professional trainers.
Well, he has, but he's never with Jake Paul, I would put him in the main event of the Rumble of the Rock is the Canadian heavyweight champion versus the USA Western United States heavyweight champion. I would put those guys in with Jake Paul, because Jake Paul was nothing but a ranked amateur.
That's right.
Because he's only had... The only fights he's had is against UFC fighters that weren't boxers. They were UFC fighters.
No. It's good because Nate Diaz is not a boxer, and Nate Diaz has kind of been through his stuff. And Nate Diaz, he didn't really give a shit either way. But
making the money.
Yeah, but that's my point is that you take. When I say he's a YouTuber, he's getting trained professionally.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's
not bad. I'm not saying, but in terms of the realistic life. Like in a cruiserweight or a heavyweight in pro boxing, he'd be like a fringe 20 or 30 contender type thing. But put him in against a good guy. I know they've been calling out, like Arthur Beterbiev, who's the light heavyweight champion. Like, he killed Jake Paul. Yeah. There's no. It's
exactly
a different level.
To my point. Exactly.
Levels.
And he elevated himself to success because of the other side.
Yeah.
But no, when I watched that fight, and this is a sad thing because. Then people think boxing is all rigged but then you watch Taylor versus Serrano, and I still think Serrano won that fight.
Yeah.
I was here with Jared Janko the other day. He disagreed. He thinks Taylor won. She won it in heart, that's for sure. Yeah. But I think she.
And Katie Taylor, she just kept using her head as a battering ram. She should have got at least 2 or 3 points taken off. She did get one point.
Yeah.
But regardless, it was a great fight to watch, and it gave the boxing fans something to look at.
Because when you watch that sport, and I never really paid attention to women's boxing, but when I watched those two, that was fucking hard. That cut
was just gouging open.
And she, what?
Kept going.
That was what boxing. That's what boxing used to be. That's the epitome of it. Exactly. Unfortunately, and there was that Saudi guy or whatever his name is. He offered Tyson the Turk $700 million because obviously about money. Yeah. I do think on 5 rounds of 2 minutes, I think Tyson would, if he was let it go. I think he would do some serious damage, but I don't know.
Who's to say? Like, it looked like Tyson couldn't even walk.
No. And what was he?
He kept biting his thing.
Well,
his therapist must have got him, okay, don't bite his ear, just bite your gloves, okay?
Yeah.
So he was in deep therapy, and also there was something wrong with him. Apparently, I read later that, just 6 months earlier, he was in the hospital. He had like a blood transfusions and everything else. So he wasn't. The only reason he wanted that ring is to make the money he made.
This thing is, you see, you got fighters. I just saw a picture with Manny with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
And this, when you look at Manny Pacquiao, he's fit, and this guy fought. Like I think the Mayweather fight, that's another bullshit story. But I do think Manny Pacquiao, if it was a one-on-one rumble in the jungle, I think Manny Pacquiao would take out Floyd Mayweather. That's just my opinion. But you know what?
And his shoulder was fine too. They had to go through with it at that time. He had a bad shoulder, but. Yeah,
but overall, you're trying to bring boxing back for all the right reasons. The right reasons.
Boxing's going to come back to the River Rock. It was very, very, very successful back in from 2008 to 2014 when we put on 14 Rumble at the Rocks. They were all sold out, and now we're bringing it back with amateur boxing. It's going to be spectacular because. Amateur boxing, this is the future of pro boxers. Right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like I don't watch football, but if you watch college football, those guys got a bigger axe to grind because they want to get that $20 million contract. When you're watching a fight like this, you know it's not scripted. No. You know there's no bullshit, and you watch these guys
straight up, man. They're going to give it up. They're going to give it their all. Ththey're going to give it their all for 3 3-minute rounds, and that's a sprint to the finish.
So and you've been doing this for the last 30 years, and you must be watching all this bullshit out there, and yet, but you see it. But I
just cringe when I see the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing. Is how can boxing get to that lower level, right? Like it's almost like it's pathetic to put like a great historic fighter like Mike Tyson in the position they put him in, just to make whatever $20 million or whatever he made, but. It's the new world. Jake Paul figured it out. Get on the web and figure it out how to get popular.
You know what? Jake Paul I would say that he helped Serrano get to that level. He was a big sponsor for that. And it's I want to say it, but it's like WWE is what they created, and it's too bad. But this guy Manny has been doing this his entire life. He believes in boxing. He believes in this, but he doesn't just believe in it because he's done it his whole life. Nobody walks up to him and says, "How can you?" I'm sure they do. Can you take guys in a street fight and all that shit? That's not the thing. It's
the sweet science.
Yeah.
It's the sweet science
Yes.
for a reason. You got to position yourself in the right part. You can't stand right in front of your opponent because you're even, right? You want to get a little angle. Like I call it the pie theory of boxing here. If you're in front of your opponent, you're even. You take a little angle, you got the advantage because you're angling your opponent. And
another thing that I noticed, and I mean, is that when you're part of a gym, boxing, Muay Thai, whatever it is, you guys, it's like a camaraderie.
Well, it's
right?
a family.
It's a family, and for the most part, two fighters fight each other in an amateur bout, and whoever wins, obviously, that first minute or two, I won, you won, and you're mad at, but you're not hating the guy.
No, at the end of a boxing match,
You okay?
whether it be an amateur boxing event or a professional boxing event, at the end of the match, 99.9% of the time you see the competitors hugging each other. They're not fighting each other. Because you get respect from each other because you put it your all and you've given it your all and you left it in the ring.
The worst, any gym that I've ever been involved in, I'm not nowhere even at any, but it was. Even when I still suck, but it was really everybody encourages everybody, and it's like it's this feeling of a family,
it's
and a lot of times, and this takes me to the next point. And when you grow up in a bad neighborhood, what happens is people who go off and join gangs and they feel they're part of a group. Now that group is out doing shitty things, but it's that people they sort of attract each other. And the next thing you know, they get themselves into trouble and they start doing the wrong things. But if you go back to this not the ring, but a club, gym, you have that same camaraderie. You start to become friends. You have a common thing, which is going to the gym, and you start encouraging. And this is the sad thing is where we pushed youth, and not just youth, adults. We pushed everything so far because right now you pick up the phone, you get this, you get that. There's no old school stuff. You can box online.
It's so easy to distract yourself. Whereas you get into the gym, you're there for an hour or two, and it seems like it goes by super fast because you're so into it. Yeah. And you got people like-minded, and you're working hard, sweating, and there's nothing like it.
And it's encouragement. I mean, when you go to a lot of people, they want to lift weights. They go to the gym and they're overweight. They feel insecure about going in, and because people are looking. But when you're in this kind of environment, I don't mean a steroid monkey gym. I mean like a club anywhere. Some of the worst guys. I remember in jiu-jitsu, this one kid came out of nowhere, and I don't know what he is, but this kid, and that support and this is a thing that we're pushing away from. We're pushing away. We don't take youth. What happens when the youth, he comes home, he's eating his fucking junk food, he's watching his shit on there, and he gets depressed. And what do? We don't, I don't think there's a doctor anywhere in North America that will say, join Manny's gym. But yet we'll put millions of dollars into
meds.
And I think it's so important to, go to this amateur event. Go. This is not just an amateur guys trying to go. These guys are training. They all got 9-to-5 jobs. Some of them are tellers. Some of them are liquidators. Some are guys, and they do this in between. And Canada, we're well known for not putting money into our sports programs. And here is just to see these guys. This is real. This is non-scripted shit, right? This is two guys, two women in a ring that they
giving it their all,
and take what they do. You don't have to if I was a kid, 10 years old, came in and I walked up to your gym and I said, I want to be the next Mike Tyson. What are you going to say to me?
How are you going to do it, kid? Let's go. Let's start today.
Right?
Yeah.
So you start training this kid, and after 8 years, he might not make it. But you know what? It's just like
it's a process.
And
he's working through that process because there's always different levels. That's the beautiful thing about boxing is there's always levels of it, and you fit yourself into that level and you work hard to get to the next level. There's always processes. It's never stagnant.
And what about are guys joining boxing these days, or is it dying?
Well, no, I think you go to the Diaz Combat Sports, the gym I work out, that place is jam packed. After 6 o'clock, there's basically no room in that gym. Everyone's working hard and pushing each other and hitting harder and going faster, and it's a beautiful thing.
So the important thing is check out this event, Rumble at the River Rock. We'll keep it, and go check it out. Tickets are $50.
Yeah.
And you want to watch you want to watch
competitive matches. That's what it's
competitive
gonna be.
matches.
And we're having guys from Canada and the U.S. We're having 3 Canadian champions on the card. It's going to be top level, and it's also going to be amateur, young kids, females, males, everything.
Everybody wearing pads,
everyone has to wear headgear because that's amateur boxing. But
listen,
believe it or not,
no. Listen, headgear or no headgear, it still fucking hurts.
Yeah, all it does is helps. It protects you from getting cuts. But
believe me,
hey, those headgears are
so
just make you go faster.
Manny's a local guy. You have training available for people. Do you have a gym that you're at?
Yeah, we're at the Diaz Combat Sports on Pender in Maine.
Yeah,
275 East Pender.
Wow,
and,
right in the heart of it.
Right in the heart of East Van, and let's get it going. And people come down there and they come in. And they leave with a beautiful workout after. So
they can Google your name and you can see some of the fights that you did. You had a picture with Muhammad Ali, one of the world's greatest.
Probably the greatest of all time. I don't think no one was better. And they took away, unfortunately, his real peak of his life is because he didn't want to go to the Vietnam War, but he stuck up for what he believed in.
And what do you think of Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury's, like you were saying, you don't have the best body in the world, but that guy knows how to box. He feints really well, and he moves really well, and he's having a rematch with Alexander Usyk on February 21st. That's going to be a spectacular event. Yeah.
I got the Tyson Fury body, but I like Tyson Fury because of that.
And he sings really well, too.
And he sings really well. I think Tyson Fury is one of the greatest heavyweights right now. I love watching him because he's... I don't want to put him in the category of Butterbean, but he's just that guy.
He looks it, yeah.
He's got
But he's got a lot of skill. He feints really well, and he's got a nice jab, and he moves well, and he's got incredible stamina.
Yeah.
You look at a body like that, but because he doesn't have all that much muscle, that oxygen feeds all the fat muscles easier than it does muscles. So he's fluid, and he's been doing it all his life. So it's like second nature.
Yeah, it's in second nature. But Tyson Fury is just a guy people always they want to have that six pack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, my all time favorite. I mean, I'm just a George Foreman guy. I just like George Foreman. I think George Foreman. Yeah. He just a guy went back and won a heavyweight championship at 46, 47.
Yeah, the oldest heavyweight champion.
Oldest heavyweight champion. The guy just didn't have a lot. He didn't have a lot of skill, but I don't want to say that. He had a lot of skill, but he wasn't like an Ali refined. But that motherfucker can punch.
Because he was also a 1968 Olympic gold medalist in Mexico City. A lot of people forget that he was a real good amateur.
You leaving?
I gotta leave. I gotta boogie.
Okay.
So I got candy for the kids. If you're gonna see the kids.
Oh, do you know?
What do you? Wait a minute. He's leaving. Giving candy. What are you giving candy for the kids for?
I give it all the time, every week.
For what? For what?
East End Boys Club.
East End Boys Club. Delta Boys Club. The Girls Club. East End Boys Club. Girls Club. Sorry. Give it to them. Give it to the disabled kids. We give it chocolate to the seniors. The Lions Club. We serve.
Oh, so you remember? So what we're doing is an interview here with Manny, and we have a gentleman here that introduced me to Manny today, and
Jesse. President of the Queen Elizabeth Lions Club, and been doing it for 25 years. Got about 60 members, and Manny's actually an honorary member because of all the work he does with the kids. One of the reasons I promote Manny is because Manny, even though he's a pugilist, he's got a heart of gold. Get the kids off the streets, into the gym, burning off their stress and energy in a positive way instead of in a negative way. So Manny, thank you for being the best guy I know.
Thanks, Jesse.
And the most, and you know what? Exemplary role model.
That's why this podcast is taking place, and that's why. And there's a lot of people out here that are scrapping it away to give back in between their normal lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. So give this thing a check out. We're going to talk to Manny Sobral down the road. And guys, you know what? Mental illness, man. I went through some serious shit after my divorce, and it changed my life. And I think if I can help one kid, 2 kids, anybody, just not to go in there to get beat up or to beat somebody up, but to fucking put yourself through this shit and make yourself a stronger person. And to see this amateur event come to Vancouver, to see these fucking guys fight, I'm not going to fucking not swear. I'm fucking telling you, this is the fucking shit. Take care, everybody. Manny Sobral, good to see you.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys.
Jeff, awesome.
Thanks, Jeff.